It happened when the storm hit and the house went dark. I'd started renting my first home recently from my great-aunt. She had reached a point where she was having mobility issues and a walker wouldn't easily fit down the narrow hallway between the rest of the house and the bedrooms and bathroom anymore. I had my first steady job and figured this way I could get my own place, but also help out my auntie with some of the exorbitant costs of her new assisted living place. The nostalgia and happy memories certainly didn't hurt either. When I was a kid, I had loved it here. The big windows in the living room and kitchen filled the place with light and provided a beautiful view of the trees in her backyard. The only thing that is odd about it is how thin the hallway is that leads from the living room to the bedrooms and office, and it's so dark. There are no windows, and even during the brightest part of the day when the conjoining rooms have sunlight streaming through the window, that hallway is dark. I'm not sure how they managed to achieve that level of darkness when building the place. It was almost impressive. At night, it's almost pitch black. It used to scare me when I was younger, so my mum and my aunt threw a couple of night lights in the outlet, and I've just continued the tradition. I was loving the new place, even planning to see if my girlfriend Gwen wanted to move in with me. We'd been dating for about 2 years, but I think I was delaying asking her because I was terrified she'd say no. And then what? Now, I regret never asking her. I wish she was here with me last night. I'm not sure if the storm was the cause or it was coincidental. I've always loved thunderstorms, which works out well since I live in Tornado Alley. Last night, the rain was coming down almost sideways outside. The thunder was loud and the lightning striking in intense flashes. It wasn't my first storm in the house, and at first I was loving it. I had my cozy blanket, was watching true crime on TV. I could hear the thunder. I could see the rain illuminated in the weak moonlight from my sofa. The power went out, which isn't unusual. I switched to watching on my phone. My battery didn't typically last that particularly long, but I had my power bank nearby. I wasn't too worried since the power is usually back on pretty quickly. Eventually, I got up to go to bed. I rounded the corner and froze at the entrance of the hallway. I had never seen darkness like that in my life. It was almost claustrophobic in how it sectioned off the house in two, the living room and the kitchen, illuminated by some moonlight, and then the hallway and the rooms beyond, which were just black. I couldn't see beyond the entrance to the hall, where moonlight still filtered in through the living room windows. I was seriously debating if I should just sleep on the sofa. I'm in my 20s, but my overactive imagination means the dark still freaks me out. My steady diet of true crime and horror podcasts right before bed probably didn't help. When I heard something that sounded like breathing in the hallway, just past where the blackness began. My first thought was to bolt out the front door, rain be damned, but decided it was my imagination. As a compromise, the sofa sounded great. I had been tossing and turning for about an hour and finally started to drift off when the sound began. It was like a distant wail. I shuddered, sat up quickly. As I began to awaken fully, I realized I was hearing the tornado sirens for a neighboring county, because I'm right on the border. Theirs somehow sound even more eerie than ours do, almost otherworldly. I'm not sure why. Maybe they've found that creepier sounding sirens get people moving faster. I grabbed my glasses, rubbed my eyes, smudging what was left of my mascara, and looked at my phone. We were under tornado watch still here, but if the sirens were going off 5 miles from me, I was sure we were about to have ours go off too. My living room and kitchen, with all the wonderful windows, were now the most dangerous places in the house. We don't have basements here due to something about too much clay in the soil, so my best bet was the bathtub in the master bath, on the other side of the hallway. I grabbed my phone and flashlight and stood at the entrance. I had such a bad feeling that I couldn't describe. I froze. Maybe I should just wait. My phone buzzed. Tornado warning. Seek shelter immediately. My weather app helpfully told me. Almost on cue, our sirens started going off. The two sirens, with their differing timings and sounds, were creating a creepy melody in the distance. I told myself it was fine, that whatever sort of things I could imagine lurking in the dark in the short 10-foot hallway were not real. Tornadoes were very real, and we'd had some bad ones in the past few years. My phone buzzed again. Gwen had texted me. "Sirens here. You? Did you lose power?" "Yeah, head into the bathroom for shelter," I texted quickly. "Do you have somewhere safe in your apartment?" She was on the 5th floor, lots of glass and windows. I felt my stomach drop at the realization. I wish she was here with me. "Yeah, stairway is a designated shelter. Stay safe, Jane. Love you." I sighed relief. "Love you too. Please stay safe. Keep me posted." Something hit the window in the living room, and I audibly yelped. More hit the window like hard pellets. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. It was just hail. I tried to switch on my flashlight, but the batteries were dead, of course. But then I remembered I had my phone with me. I shined the phone's flashlight down the hallway, and I thought I saw something move. My heart was pounding. I felt frozen in place. I tried to encourage myself to move forward, picturing a tornado hitting the house and how I promised Gwen I'd be safe. I decided I might as well just sprint a few feet to the bedroom where there was windows and would be some sort of light. And I could get my bearings, lock the door behind me, and head to the tub and throw the mattress over it. I ran, sliding on the smooth floor in my slippers, but reached the bedroom without incident. The thing is, though, when I got to the bedroom, there was no light whatsoever. I pointed my phone's flashlight around the room and there was no window at all. The wall where the window was supposed to be was just a blank wall. It took me a moment, but I then noticed the complete silence. The sirens had both ceased, along with the rain, thunder, and hail. It all felt so wrong. The air had this stale, stagnant feel to it. It tasted almost sour on my tongue when I opened my mouth to take a breath. When I brought my phone screen back to my face, I noticed I had no reception. No data either. My last text to Gwen hadn't gone through. I pointed my phone flashlight around to the rest of the room. Other than the missing window, it looked mostly like my room, but a few things were different. It may have been the weird lighting, but the colours seemed a bit off, like someone had turned the colour saturation down. Everything seemed a bit further away, warped. My phone battery was dying. I had left the power bank in the living room. I heard what sounded like ragged breathing. It was coming from between me and the door. I flashed the phone light towards the door. Something flitted just out of my view. My phone chose that moment to die. The floorboard in front of me creaked in the blackness. I dodged around where the sound appeared to be coming from, my right shoulder slamming into something. I staggered back a foot, but I ran. The hallway is only a few feet long in reality, but it felt like it kept stretching on forever. I skidded on the floor in my slippers again, but this time tripped, landed on my stomach, which knocked the wind out of me. I crawled, so close to the part of the hallway that was illuminated by the moonlight. I felt something sharp snag my ankle, but I was able to make it to my feet and run the last few feet. My slipper was gone, my ankle stinging and a bit cut up, but I made it. As soon as I made it to the pale light, sound returned. The sirens were still going, the storm as well. It was only a short run in reality, but fear coupled with the brief exertion left me panting. I was pressed against the wall at the slightly lit end, too scared to move, expecting whatever it was to come the rest of the way and grab me and drag me into the darkness forever. But it never did. I could hear it though. I could hear it, inches from where the weak moonlight ended and the darkness began. I was still hesitant to round the hallway and turn my back on the darkness. I inched sideways and then walked backwards, keeping the hallway in my line of sight. I grabbed my power bank, plugged in my phone and begged it to charge quickly, as if my life depended on it. I inched back to the hallway. I wasn't going back down, but the tornado was still a real threat, so I needed to be away from the windows. Oddly enough, The end where some light hit seemed safe. The power came back on not too long after. The night lights gently illuminated the hallway, but I flipped the lights on quickly for good measure. There was nothing there, not even my slipper. The feeling of dread dissipated slightly with the darkness. I felt braver, inched towards my bedroom. The window was back, everything looked normal again. As my phone came back to life, I had reception and data again. I went to the tub for safety, but immediately called Gwen. The phone rang twice. The call dropped. I called my mum. I couldn't reach her either. My aunt answered, but she was panicked. She said she heard what sounded like a scream and then weird, squelching sounds from the room next door. We'd later find out that no one could find any hint of the neighbour, but also no sign of a struggle. My aunt had been staring out of her window watching the storm instead of taking shelter, being the stubborn lady that she was. I'm panicking. Whatever happened in my house, I think it happened all over town. I don't think whatever it was can leave the shadows, but I think there are more of them. It's like the total darkness led to a different place. I don't know what caused it, and I'm worried it could happen again, here, anywhere. I can't stop worrying about my mum and about Gwen. My mum isn't home, I can't reach her. A lot of my co-workers didn't show up for work. I'm beating myself up, thinking about Gwen, who'd been standing in that pitch black, dark stairwell. Thank you for watching this video. If you want to support this channel, we have a link in the description for that. Don't forget to give a subscribe, a like, and press the bell to get notifications. Tell us your thoughts in the comments section. You can also send us your real or fictional horror stories.